So, we're interesting today that we're talking about the silent voice. Because we're having so much fun here, singing and dancing and talking and chanting and hooping and hollering and all that good stuff. Thank you, my love. Right on up there. This is a little something I wanted to share with you from Ernest Holmes, Dr. Ernest Holmes again, out of Science of Mind. It says, I listen. I will listen for thy voice. Whose voice? Whose voice? God's voice, Spirit's voice, the voice that sings through all sentient beings, the voice that emanates through all things, everywhere. I listen for thy inner voice, thy inner presence. It will guide me and it will acquaint me with all knowledge. This is so true. The voice is sweet and tender. People say to me, well, Dr. Kim, how do I know when it's my deep inner voice, in other words, my higher self versus my lower self? Well, here's the answer right here. The voice is sweet and tender. That's how we know. He says it is always kind and gentle. What is it? Kind. Yeah. O lover of my soul, how I adore thee, how I love thee, how I love thy voice. It thrills me with gladness and joy, and it fills me with peace and calm, and it soothes me, it quiets me, and it gives me wonderful rest. I listen, O divine speaker, I listen to thee alone. What does that mean to you? That's what I want to know. I know what it means to me. It manifests in my life all the time. I'm more interested in what you have to teach me. Hi, sweetheart. I want to know what you're going to teach each other. You realize, the Course in Miracles says, the teacher and the student simply change places moment to moment. You understand this? So what are you all? Yeah. So when you listen to something so beautiful and so devotional like this, what does it mean to you? How do you use it? How do you use it? The inner, gentle, loving, kind voice. What does that mean? How do you use it?
Nourish it.
Yes, good answer. Nurture, nourish it. What else? How do you use? You guys, this is the thing is, all this stuff, but most people read this stuff, but they don't do any of it. It's meant for us to embody and create in ourselves. Rhonda. Yes. Yes. Perfect, because in Pema Chodron's work and the Bodhisattva work, it is the bodhicitta, which is the soft spot of the heart. And the soft spot of the heart and the soft voice go together. Because when the voice is soft and gentle and kind, the heart is softened. And when the heart is softened and the inner voice is gentle and kind, and we are receptive and opening to listening to it, then what can we do with that? Yes, Athena.
You use it to reset habits and behaviors.
Say again?
You can use it to help reset habits and behaviors.
Yeah, reset habits and behaviors. Brilliant, of course. We just had a wonderful seminar, many of us together. And this is what we talked about. It was a meditation seminar, really practicing listening to that inner voice that leads us, that guides us, that tells us every move what to do. But there's a problem in our lives, isn't there, around this idea? What's the problem? What's the problem that we have? What is it? I'm not listening.
I want to say multiple voices.
Too many voices.
Chatter.
Reactions. What? Chatter.
Peers and family.
Huh?
Peers and family.
Appears as a family?
Peers and family.
Influences.
Yes, absolutely. What else?
Ego.
Oh, gotta love that ego. wonderful ego, you know? Edging God out, the ego, because that's exactly what it will do, is edge God out. I can promise you that. Because the little ego thinks it's the boss and it thinks it created the universes. It doesn't realize that it's temporary and that it's not going to last very long. So when he's talking about, I listen to thy voice, we really, I have a completely different talk I thought I was going to give you today. And on my way into work, I listened to my still quiet voice. On my way to work today, I got a don't give that talk. And I'm like, why? And then I heard, it's not the time. Why not? Because my love, trust me, have I not guided you every step of the way? And I'm like, yeah, that's true. Okay, forget it. I'm not giving it a talk. So then I started thinking about the opposite of what I was going to talk about, and that would be the silent voice. The ability to listen and be guided by the silent voice. Many don't understand what the silent voice is. Many think it's their own voice speaking. But the thing is that we have the ability to attune to the voice of truth that's speaking to everything on the planet all at the same time. Can you do that? I can do that. I can't speak to every little thing in the world and move it. I can only receive and do the best I can with it. So we're looking at this in silent voice and silence of mind on page 538. We're going to be really having fun with this on Wednesday nights. He says, pause. Now, you know when you got the chatter? Y'all know, right? Everybody's with me. Are you awake?
Yeah.
All right, you better be awake. I'll come sit on your lap, I swear to God. Wake up. So, I will. So, pause for a while. So, blah, blah. Right? It's going on. You know the argument you've been having with that person? You know that argument? Or maybe there's several arguments you've got going with several people. We got work to do if that's the case. And if that's going on, and we got arguments going on with him and her and them, then how are we going to hear anything other than our own little egoic voice? The answer is, we're not. We're just going to hear that. And that's not a bad thing, y'all, because it's Earth School. And so if we decide to be small and not to listen, it's not a problem. We simply will be in that class we'd rather not be in, and we'll keep being taught over and over again until we graduate. Make sense? How many of you had a class in high school that was really, really hard for you? Really hard for you. Okay, so I'm going to give you something to relate to. When we don't listen and listen carefully to what I'm about to say, because next week I'm going to tell you the story. When we don't listen to the still small voice, what happens? Remember that class you just said that was really, really hard? Guess what you get to do? You get to take it over. Whatever that is. It's not hostile, it's not punishment, it's just Earth School. It's just the wisdom of God wanting to teach us everything there is. So God just smiles in its infinite everythingness and says, oh, okay, cool. You can just take this class in lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. No problem. Because in the mind of God, our lifetime is a blink of an eye. It's a big deal to us, right? So when we pause, we're hearing all this blah, and we're starting to feel the anxiety if we're not already lost in it. We can take a nice inhalation. Have you ever tried to argue mentally or outwardly on an inhalation? Go ahead, let's try it. All right, bring to mind somebody you want to argue with. Get it? And now, breathe in and argue with them. It won't work. Because the brain has to focus to collaborate with the body to inhale the air, which stops the mind from being able to go blah, blah. You see? And so when we're able to pause for a moment, when we feel triggered, when we bit the hook, as Pema Chodron says. You know, who's bit the hook? You know, another word of being triggered, right? When we bit the hook, she says, all we have to do is stop. Take a breath, reboot. So we take a breath, we pause for a moment, We take a breath, and then and only then, on the exhalation, listen. Get quiet and listen to what is being shown you, told you, directed to you, pointed out to you. You know, this is the thing that I know, which doesn't make it real, right, and true for any of you. It is simply real, right, and true for me. Is my life is a constant, miraculous story, one after another, that feels like magic, and it feels like, how could these things possibly happen? And I'm like constantly going, again. And that's the talk I'm dying to tell you, but I can't tell you until next week, is based on Reverend Karen's and my ability to meditate and to listen and to notice clues and cues. Clues and cues are coming at us all the time. Do you think God just speaks to us through meditation? Do you think that's the only way? This great, incredible power that created all that there is, that's in and part of everything that there is, do you think it just uses a language to reach us? No. It directs us to go left instead of right. It directs us to go pick up the phone and pause for a moment and say, is this really a good time? It shows up as an image or a symbol, and it comes into our life, and we go, oh, I was just talking about this last night, and here it is. It is an ability, and we call it sensory acuity, to be able to sense and feel way beyond our dense selves. Sense and feel. God speaks to us through vibration. And through vibration, that's when we know, when we're told left and we want to go right, and we question that left turn, that's all right, that's normal. And maybe we do go right. And often, you know what I find when I go right? I hit a dead end. Gotta turn the car around, go the other way. Where in your lives do you think you could do better at listening to the guidance that is so subtle? Where do you think? Everywhere. Every little thing. I swear to you, I won't speak for Reverend Karen, but she does join me on this. There is nothing, and you have my word on this, there is nothing that I do not do without checking in first. I ask, is this what you want me to do? Is this where you want me to go? Is this what you want me to say? Is this who you want me to say it to? And get quiet, trust the process, step off the cliff, and see that I can fly. Because we can. It takes faith. And in order to have faith, you must master trust. Because if you have trust, faith comes right there with it. The stories we're going to tell you next week, don't miss next week, because you will probably not believe them and require proof. We got that for you. It is so miraculous how we did this thing. We had these amazing, 40 students in here, just meditating and learning how to just be one with God. And the series of events that happened with Reverend Karen and myself afterward must be written down, must be told. Not because I want to impress you, because I want to impress upon you that if it can happen to me, it can absolutely happen to you. You have the same ability I do. You have the same connection to Source I do. There is no difference. The difference, if there is one, is in our ability to get out of the way. That would be it, to get out of the way. And not to question, not to be so resistant. You know, that's the thing. Resistance is a big key that there's something going on. Y'all know that, right?
Oh, yeah.
When we're resisting something, one of two things is happening. Either we simply are, don't want to do it, afraid to do it, can't perceive ourselves doing it, don't understand why we're doing it, or it's because we're afraid if we do, we might fail. Do you know the number one regret that people have when they're in their later years and they're in hospice and they're ready to make their transitions. I've done quite a bit of hospice work over 3-4 decades. And you know what I've heard every time? Regrets. Regrets. And the regrets, because this is what was amazing me, you would think that their regrets would be, well, I didn't skydive, or their regrets would be, I wish I bought that race car when I was in my midlife crisis, or you'd think their regrets would be, gosh, if only I was nicer to that person, or more loving to my son or daughter, or if only I'd get, you'd think those would be it. But you know what they typically are? Things that we did not do. Things we did not try. Things we chose to play small and shrink down and be afraid to do. Those are the things that when we get later in life that come right back up and say, well, this will be your school courses you'll be taking in your next life. No problem. It's not a punishment. It's just another opportunity to try again, to choose again, as A Course in Miracles says. Only whispers of truth. Your ears may not always perceive it, but here's the thing. Here's another way that I can promise you this would be called a unity takeaway list. The thing I'm trying to help you guys with is how do you know? How do you know? Sometimes I think I know, and do you think I'm wrong sometimes? Often. Often I will be wrong. And that is exactly why I will get right back on the horse. And I will meditate deeper. And I will ask for more guidance. You see, I'm this really demanding child of God. And when I really want to serve, and I really want to make a difference in the world, I really want to help a lot of people, I stop my feet and do my work and demand that my absolute Father, my Divine Mother, that God listens to me. And so if so, it's a cute little story that Drupadic tells us. He says, imagine that all the whatever faces of God any of us look up to are playing poker, and a demanding child is the one that keeps interrupting the game. And every time I yanked on the robe of one of these great saints or teachers or God in some form, every time I do that, whoever it is, Yogananda or whoever has to go, okay, I have a demanding child who will not let up, who is insisting that I run her life. Not so bad, is it? Would you like God to be running your life? I want God to be running my life because the evidence that we're experiencing is I don't want anything less than that. Do you? I mean, really, do you think you can do a better job than God itself that's in all things at all times, everywhere present? No. All we can do is be the instrument and choose to get out of the way and get our egos. It's the egos that are the problem. The ego that makes us behave as if we're just ridiculous. That ego is only there to give us a body and a vehicle and an opportunity to channel amazing love, opportunity to one another. He says, are we listening to the still silent voice? How are you all doing with that? Are you listening? How many of you haven't thought about this in a while? How many of you haven't thought about listening to the still small voice in a while? Well, no wonder. I have a bunch of saints in the room. That's fantastic. So you've all been contemplating the importance of meditation and opening up and allowing that silent voice to fill you. Fantastic. Keep doing it. Because if you keep doing it, your lives will be the evidence of it. And that's the thing, is people ask me, for counsel or advice, and I'm trying to figure out where my life is going. Your life is going in the direction you're going today. You know the story about, I'm going to go to the crystal ball or the card reader or the person. Hey, tell me, what is my destiny? Well, if they have any authenticity, they'll say, what are you focusing on now? Because what you're focusing on now is absolutely your destiny. True. Can't argue with it. So as we listen, we don't analyze it, you see. This morning, when I got, save that story. I wanted to argue with it for a minute. But I want to, I'm so excited. They're going to laugh. They're going to love the story. And then I sort of argued with it for a moment. It says right there, don't argue it. Don't analyze it. So it took me a moment. It took me a moment to go, okay, I release this. Whatever it is I'm supposed to say, I'm going to let God say it because I just got to trust the process. Listen, observe, and then make a judgment. An adjustment. Listen and observe. So when we're in our silent voice, whether it's a moment in the car or out and about, we listen to the silent voice that says, go to that person in the grocery aisle and say hi to them. Because I've had two experiences in my life where I was led to go bring joy. One was a cashier at a grocery store. The other one was somebody in line at a grocery store. In both cases, by listening to the small voice, I gotta tell you, I'm not always excited about chit-chatting with everybody. I get a little weary sometimes. In fact, I like to be incognito sometimes, and kind of hide and go into the store and get my goodies and put my earphones in so nobody talks to me and pretend that I'm not there. These two times that I walked up, one was a checker, and I felt right away that she was in the 11th hour of her battle with cancer. Didn't talk to her, didn't know her, there was nothing there. She certainly had a headpiece on, I knew that. But by me looking at her name tag and having eye contact with her and saying, Janet, how are you feeling? How are you doing? I can't believe you're sitting here, you're on your feet for 8 hours a day working, and I see that you're in the battlefield. She said, yes, I have ovarian cancer, and I'm doing all the treatments. I said, how do you do it? How do you work like this? I just so admire you. You are really a great inspiration to us all. Tears started coming. All the people in the line started crying. We were all instantaneously great friends. And every time I go in that store, she looks for me and seeks me out. And by the way, she had a full recovery. Full recovery. But at that time, we did not know. And the second time I walked up, and I do it all the time, but the second time I walked up to somebody, I said, hey, you all right, guy? You feel like you're having a hard day? He said, I am having a hard day. I'm having a terrible day. And I said, I'm really sorry. He said, well, it's not your fault. Why would you be sorry? I said, what I'm sorry for is that you're hurting. Because I know what it feels like. I've been in your shoes on some level. And I know what it feels like. And he looked at me and he said, who are you? I swear to God. I think it was insulting. But he goes, who are you? And I said, oh, my name's Kim. And I just felt in. I just wanted to tell you that I'm rooting for you. And if you want to give me your name, I'll put you in my prayer box. And he gave me his name. And he said, you know what, lady? You made my day. That's simple. We're not talking about moving mountains. We're not talking some big deal here. This is just small stuff.
Those are big.
With a big finish there for him. So as we're moving through the silent voice, I was running around the grocery store. How did I do it? How did I get that silent voice when I got a grocery list? Thinking about time, phones constantly dinging, going through the store, people are blah, blah. How did I do it? How did I hear that instantaneous, go to that line, stand behind that guy, and just say, how did I do it? By tuning in. How do you do it? You all said it, you do it. How do you do it?
It's usually the very first instinct.
Yes, your intuition.
And then there's doubt that stops me from doing it. But
Yeah.
usually first instinct is totally from the heart.
So you're going to trust that now, aren't you? Because that's what you came here for today, is to be validated in that, right? And that's why Reverend Patricia, the class that she's teaching on intuition, is so very important, you guys. Because intuition, just like Adam said, is the first step to being able to sense what is going on. It is our ego that argues with it. The ego questions. But if we're working on developing faith, then we must step out where there may or may not be something underneath our foot. And the more you do that, the better we get at that. True. So as we're looking at listen, observe, and then make an adjustment. So Adam said, well, I was led to do it, but then I questioned it. Now you make an adjustment. Right? And then God is always talking, guiding, with us. I wrote that a long time ago. God is always, repeat after me, God is always guiding us, siding with us, providing for us. Does everybody here have food to eat today? Did anybody here have some kind of ability for transportation? Did everybody here sleep in a warm bed? Does everybody here have at least one real friend? Well then, you are blessed. You all have this beautiful light in you. Every one of you on the planet to make a difference with everyone you come in contact with. And when you hear part 2 of the story next week, you're going to be amazed. You're going to get so excited. You're going to go, oh, I'm doing this now. This is the direction I'm going. And the very last part of this is the fact that I can choose again. I can choose. Course in Miracles says, it's not like you get 10 tries and you're done, and God says you're out. That sounds more like a human making a God out of himself, doesn't it? What God does is says, I love you indefinitely no matter what you do, and when you're ready, I am here to guide you, to side with you, to provide for you. And when you are ready, my arms will be open to the arms of others. Every hug, every smile, every encouraging word. Where do you think those words come from? They have to come from a higher vibration. Where do you think we got the feeling from? From the source itself. And so as we look at this beautiful saying, Psalms 91, look at me going all Bible on you now. Here we go. I can do that gospel thing. I did it. I love it. Psalms 91. God is a refuge and a fortress. Think about that. A refuge and a fortress. Protect us. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. The secret voice of the Most High. I will say unto the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in her will I trust. Surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the nauseam and the pestilence. He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield, shall be thy rock. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror of the night, nor for the arrow that fleeth by day, nor for the pestilence that walketh in the darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come at nigh only. Only with those that have eyes to see. Only those with ears to hear. Only those who love, purely love, will live my name in grace, as you, as me, because we can get quiet. We can shut up. Oh my God, can we please just shut in the most divine way up? And listen to the bliss that is pouring into us. We all miss so much because we're so busy trying to be right and righteous. It's all about me. Well, it is all about you, that's for sure. It's about the big you. It's about the talented you. It's about the grace filled in you. It's about the kindness in you. It's about the willingness in you. It's about the part of you that says, I will listen. I will go where I am directed. And if I don't like it, I'll change my mind. Good or good?